As an MMO, I would hope it's a fucking open world. Oh, that's their. So, so they ended up coming up with this way that you fly. That's where Blizzard got the idea for dragon riding. So I guess you can only play this much for free, and then you've got to get all these things, which is probably just like paying for the DLCs to get those. I assume. But I mean, if we play this and I really enjoy that, I'll buy all of them and play the whole fucking thing, because it's how I roll. So there's that. And the other one I said we might play is RuneScape. And we'll watch this one for RuneScape for those people who don't know what RuneScape is like. So RuneScape is the very first like online game I ever played. Was old school RuneScape. It's evolved over the years and become a new game. They have OSRS as well, which is old school RuneScape, and they've allowed the community to vote on changes and updates and patches they put into the game to have the game still grow and evolve, but not become what it originally became. So I personally enjoy both versions of the game. They are very basic because they're based on a very old system, but it's still fun. I enjoy it, and maybe we'll stream that. We'll see. It is either this or Guild Wars 2, one or the other. And if I stream this, I may just make a whole new account again to stream this on. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you delete your character or something and just start over. I don't know. So like that's like new stuff. This is the way they've evolved it to look over time. And I enjoy it. I think it's fun. But like I said, very basic. We'll watch this one for it as well, because that one was real short.
RuneScape is a massively multiplayer online
there you go.
role-playing
This
game
one has dialogue.
simultaneously with thousands of players around the world. It's a place where you can forge your own playstyle and be whoever you want to be, right from your very first click. It's a vast, open world where you can fight monsters, gather resources, and complete quests, all while leveling up and customizing your character as you explore. The world can be conquered as a lone adventurer, but there's plenty to do with friends, like joining a clan, teaming up to defeat fearsome bosses, or trading your hard-earned cash and items with other players in a thriving, player-driven economy. RuneScape's unique skill system lets you level up 28 varied professions.
And you can level all of them.
Each different from the last. Skills range from archery, spellcasting, weapon forging, potion brewing, and hunting, to more delicate arts like woodcutting, firemaking, cooking.
They showed agility, but they didn't mention it. When he jumped from the roof, that was agility.
From low intensity
you have to train it.
To demanding high-level group encounters and raids. For a more laid-back experience, simply click a monster and watch the fight unfold on its own. Alternatively, take full control of your character and master the art of battle. RuneScape's rich and vibrant web of quests takes players on a deep and fascinating feature-length journey through the world, with puzzles to solve, mysteries to uncover, and tons of colorful characters to meet. There is an almost endless amount to experience. Come and see for yourself.
It's been around forever. So I'm thinking either that one or Guild Wars 2. I'm kind of leaning toward Guild Wars 2 just because I've never played it. So I'm kind of leaning toward playing Guild Wars 2 instead. And I might just stick around with RuneScape off stream or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I can't believe this is taking so long. I honestly thought this was going to be done. Well, while we wait, I suppose I'll pull this back up. Where'd it go? Here we are. Oh, we'll throw a like on this one too, by the way. But we're gonna find us a. Oh my God! Has he debunked Apollo 11? That might be Friday's video right there. Right? We'll put this one in the stream reacts just to see. I've seen this. The hell? Guga cooked a steak with electricity. That I don't know if that's awesome or not. Ooh, I want to watch that one too. Oops. You know what? Where's this at? Like 50%. We're gonna watch Ashes of Creation right now. Fuck it.
So fat. Brendan, you're not fat. It's the shirt.
I like Narc.
Look at Nate.
I really like Narc's videos. I'm gonna throw him a like right now because I enjoy his videos and I know I enjoy his videos. But we're gonna watch this because this is the MMO that doesn't exist that I really hope becomes a thing, because it's the one that I find to be the most exciting MMO that is yet to be released. So, and I've been following this game for so damn long. I yearn for the day we can play.
Hey, what up, boys? So, during January, we did a video looking at the potential of Ashes of Creation's 64 class system and the augment potential for the tank. And you guys
64 class system.
I also absolutely loved making it because it lets me scratch that autistic part of my brain where I can just immerse myself into my imagination and get excited for Ashes of Creation, you know, before our hopes and dreams crash and burn with the eventual reality. But before we get into that, our patron...
Which is an accurate statement, because everybody hoping for this game and waiting for this game and anticipating this game, we are all so high on copium for this shit that it's unimaginable. I need a Scarface pile of copium in front of me for just me to take in and to whim for these.
And I would love for you to grab yourself a Yola, because with the Mage's very clear focus on augment types, fire, ice, lightning, and arcane, alongside their elemental empowerment class mechanic, it really allows us to formulate some kind of logic to how augments could work for the Mage. And today, I actually wanted
Interesting.
to look at 4 out of the 8 Mage classes and see if we can figure out exactly how
I just lied to you.
work.
Okay.
Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, I think we'll start today's video actually discussing something interesting that Stephen and the team have talked about in passing, mentioning that we, as viewers, have actually seen some augmented abilities in the past, and I'll give you my take as to what I think they were, because it's actually pretty telling as to the extent at which augments affect abilities from a mechanics and aesthetics point of view. Back during the weather showcase, Stephen showed us this interesting ability, and although he did allude to this being mod powers, spamming the ability with 0 cooldown, the actual effect itself is an augmented ability in my opinion. Which ability? Well, I think it's actually a base dodge ability available to all classes, implying that within our UI, we are able to augment our dodge into something interesting that lines up aesthetically with our class fantasy. For example, this one in particular looks very much like some kind of death magic augment, and we know death is an augment that will be available to the cleric archetype. However, if we fast forward to the melee showcase stream, the team actually imply this ability did belong to the assassin, which is the pure version of the rogue archetype. And death,
yeah, because rogues are the shit.
Cleric and rogue archetypes when
because rogues are the shit. It's that simple. Rogues are the shit, and that's why. I don't know why that rogue, that melee he had up there when he's talking about rogues has a longsword. That's not roguey. But, you know, There you have it.
Chosen as secondaries for other classes, cutting down the total amount of unique augments available through that 64 class system. Will nature augments be available to more than just the ranger, say the summoner for nature-based summons, or the bard for nature-based healing anthems? What about the mage's fire, frost, and lightning ones? Are they available to other archetypes where it makes sense? It's an interesting thought and helps to put the thousands of potential abilities into a more realistic perspective. Additionally, whilst we're on the Melee showcase, we also got a glimpse at what I believe to be another demonstration of the
See, that doesn't look like a rogue. With that big-ass sword? No way.
The guys explicitly said that this wasn't the fighter that we're seeing. It was the Weapon Master, the pure augmented version of the fighter. So I think, again, we're seeing the dodge ability augmented with one of the fighter-specific augments. And
that would make sense.
This one feels more physical to me. Something like finesse or brute.
It does. That one looks far more physical. The other one on the cleric looked much more magical, right? That's cool. I like that they have these different ways that your dodge looks if you augment them, is what it does appear to be, right? Is that these are augmented dodges. I do like how that changes the way that it looks and also the way that it kind of feels, even just watching it. Like, we're not playing it, obviously, we're watching it, but it still feels different. Like, this feels more like a physical dodge and the other one felt more like a magical dodge, like it was something out of Harry Potter.
Brutality, because this dodge does feel very physical. In conclusion, I think it's great to see that
this one.
So
that looks and feels more like it's something out of Harry Potter. Like how the Death Eaters fly around in the black smoke stuff.
Back around to the mage, because as they explained, a lot of the tech that we saw during this stream has been a long time coming, and even mentioned all the way back during the as-aforementioned fighter showcase. The decals on the floor, the dynamic particle effects, the projectiles.
Yeah, you also have to keep in mind when you're looking at this stuff, these are just like inside looks at the game. This isn't a completed game, and these are different stages of the game being created and worked on. This is still a work in progress as a game. It still hasn't truly had an alpha test yet either. So this is very much so an in-progress game, and it already looks this good, which is very promising. I do hope that they figure out what the hell they're going to be doing with these, like the spell mechanics and the fight mechanics, because your spells and shit look amazing. The thing is, how are you going to see anything going on the ground that tells you need to get the fuck out of the way of whatever the monsters are doing? Okay, that is going to be a huge issue. Is oversaturation causing an issue where you can't see the things you need to dodge or stay out of? Or conversely, the things you should be in.
I'm glad we're finally seeing it come to fruition. I think the real test of these terrain conformance.
I like that big old purple bird boy back there too.
Live stream with the highly anticipated Cyclops showcase, because the devs did actually briefly mention mechanics like this during that December discussion. But we'll save the implications and potentials of this tech for a later video. Moving on to the actual mage, let's actually break out the copium and breathe in deeply.
Uh-oh.
Yes, that's it. Let the cope overtake your senses and accept the trance that is about to before you as we pretend that...
I hope you've all joined us in our mountain of copium, because this is where we are now.
64 class system isn't going to be complete utter dogshit. Now, in case anyone is new around here, and this is your first dose of the copium, allow me to explain some rules going forward. Absolutely nothing I say is facts or logic. I am simply letting the copium do the work for me. It is our guiding light in this darkness as we wait for this MMO that quite literally doesn't exist. Therefore, being overhyped is completely and utterly your own fault. I'm not mentally stable enough to shoulder the responsibility of overhyping this game.
If you think a guy wearing boxer briefs that have another guy's face on them is the sign of somebody who's mentally stable enough to come up with a coherent conclusion as to how this system is going to work out, I highly suggest you reevaluate.
So, if you're prone to fake marketing like, say, this or this, or even something so obvious as this, I highly suggest you don't click off the video just yet because I'm about to bombard you with 5 ads.
Yeah, here. Try the Groove Belt. The Groove Belt has the...
And now that you've paid my rent this month, let's get on with the video. Whew. Now, if you're absolutely brain dead and your eyes still remain glued to my ball sack, the mage is obviously a very hyped up class, and the 8 subclasses that come alongside with it are extremely exciting to think about. The Acolyte, the Battle Mage, the Shadowcaster, the Sorcerer, the Spell Hunter, the Spell Stone, and the Warlock with the Pinnacle Pure class. The one that I main, the Archwizard. Or the Archwitch. Not sure how Intrepid are going to handle the genders, but I'm sure they've considered it. Right? Today, I want to...
Does it really matter?
Yes, that's right. Not 4, like I said at the start of the video, because that segment was recorded after I finished this script. 2 of these classes, and try to figure out how augments will change the class mechanic through the augment system. Whew.
Okay.
It took me over 5 attempts, now I'm fucking exhausted. And you see, because we know literally nothing about the augments right now, aside from the basic mechanics, it gives me that unique opportunity to spin a narrative out of thin air and fabricate free revenue using only my imagination. Ho, 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 it feels so good to be me. The classes we're going to talk about the Acolyte for its use of the augment.
Shit like that is why I like Narc's videos. That's just good, funny content that he adds to it right there for no real meaningful use.
From the Cleric and the Battle Mage for its insane popularity among the community. Now, in the previous video, I suggested that the Mage's class mechanic was elemental empowerment, but this isn't completely true. This is just one part of the archetype equation. For you see, there is another spell on these bars that they didn't exclusively feature, and I personally missed it in the singular frame that they hovered over it by accident. But you can be assured that I am not the only autist within the Ashes of Creation community, and thus the description of this spell can be found on the wiki. For context, it does the following. Arcane Empowerment. Temporarily, drastically increase the casting time whilst active, which actually probably means reduce the cast time. But hey, I'm not a game dev, am I? So we'll just gloss over that. Consume all
Or increases the cast speed. I would assume it didn't mean to say increase cast time, but increases cast speed or decreases cast time, one or the other.
Spell charges for increased duration per charge consumed. Spell charges are generated when you cast an offensive mage spell whilst not under the effects of this one. Each cast generates 1 charge up to a maximum of 10 charges. This means our little class mechanic UI that we made in the previous video here should be adjusted to accommodate for this. Right? Well, tough shit, because I'm lazy and I've done way too much UI work in this video already. Out to sea. I mean, if Stephen wants to deposit $3,000 into my PayPal account for my work here today, I'm not.
That the fact is that the UI things he's doing are completely extra and of his own design. This isn't in the game.
Gonna say no. Overall, I think the augment system is going to play a huge role when it comes to both elemental empowerment and arcane empowerment. So as we speculate today, these will be the primary spells that we use to augment our mage's gameplay. Jumping straight into the battle mage first, the mage archetype augmented with...
See, so this is how you do your class, right? You choose your base class. And then after you choose your base class, like for me, for instance, choose a rogue, and then you reach a point where you're able to choose a second class for your class through your leveling system. So you can choose the fighter and become a duelist. You can choose a tank and become a shadow guardian. You can choose a rogue again and become an assassin. You choose the ranger, become a predator. You could choose the mage, become a night spell, summoner, shadow lord. So by choosing your first class and then your second class, you end up with a total of 64 possible options, which is an astounding amount of possibility.
The fighter, as a secondary. I think if we go with the previously mentioned finesse augment that we speculated for the fighter and place it into arcane empowerment, we can change this ability and the class mechanic to function with more physical properties, editing the functionality of arcane empowerment to something along the lines of this. Temporarily enhance your physical body, drastically increasing physical damage and movement speed depending on how many charges of arcane empowerment you have. The buff exists for 1 second per charge and increases physical damage and movement speed by 3% per charge.
Like, that'd be interesting, right? That, like, this would give you so much like class potential for how you build out your class and what you do with it.
As a battle mage, spell charges are generated when any melee weapons hit your target, and you can continuously generate these charges whilst arcane empowerment is active, so provided you have an active target to attack, you can keep the buff up indefinitely with active melee swings. However, using any spell during this cancels the ability and puts it on a 10-second cooldown. As you can see, we're starting off strong and hard to really change up the way the mage works when augmented with the fighter from both a gameplay point of view but also aesthetics, because the whole idea of the battle mage now swaps to very melee or...
See what I mean? There's so much going on. Like, it looks great, but there's so much going on, and you need to be able to see certain things, like if there's going to be some sort of fire spell coming off the ground or a pillar of earth or something. You need to be able to see that so you can dodge it. Or it's just going to fuck you. Especially if you're doing, like, in-game mechanics, you're fighting a world boss, you're in a dungeon or a raid with a group, and you can't see the things you need to be able to avoid.
Oriented gameplay with high emphasis on weapons
Ow.
and almost
What is
no
up with my
spell
shoulder?
use during arcane empowerment. Next, we'll touch on the Acolyte, the mage archetype, with the cleric as its secondary, because I really want to introduce the addition of augments to the actual class abilities in tandem with arcane empowerment as the class mechanic. I personally believe that it will be 3 augments that will be mixed and matched between those 8 archetypes, with 1 unique augment with the mages being arcane. Therefore, because we know
That's
that
interesting.
2 of the cleric's archetypes are life and death, we only need to speculate on the 3rd that it brings to the other classes, and I think it's safe to assume it's something along the lines of protection. So, with that in mind, when the mage accepts the cleric as its secondary and becomes the acolyte, we can begin to speculate on how this will change the gameplay completely, and for obvious reasons, mainly because I'm lazy, we'll just pretend there's an elaborate UI set up on screen to accommodate the mechanics I'm about to explain.
Or because of the fact that you're not being paid by Intrepid to come up with UI things to augment the UI or improve the UI, etc., etc. So there's no reason for him to really go through and do all that effort for free.
Based off this previous one showed in the video up here in the top corner. Now, with that said, as an acolyte, you can enhance each of your abilities with death, life, or protection, and depending on what augment you have placed on these, it changes the way your core abilities function. Death augments further enhance the damage of your abilities and increase the potency of your debuffs. Life augments cleanse and heal players in an AoE around them after they connect, and protection adds a consecration effect on the ground beneath them, damaging foes and reducing
Those would be
damage
interesting.
taken by allies standing in.
Keep in mind, everything that he's telling us is a spell or something that would be the outcome of doing this, as well as that sheet he's showing us, is all speculation. It's all imaginative speculation that's not actually anything that they've shown us in the game.
In it. Pretty minor effect so far, but when you consider how arcane empowerment functions alongside this, it changes the gameplay completely. You see, arcane empowerment changes depending on how many charges of life or death you have accumulated. When the 10 charges are full, arcane empowerment becomes available to us and turns us into an avatar for 10 seconds, depending on which augments you have the most charges of. The avatar of death engulfs the mage in pure death energy, turning all spells into death augmented ones and enhancing the general effect for 10 seconds, with the avatar of life doing pretty much the same thing but for life augments. However,
Interesting.
the interesting part of the Acolyte's class mechanic is the idea of balance. So, if you have an equal amount of life and death charges, so 5 of each, consuming Arcane Empowerment turns the Acolyte into an avatar of balance instead. The avatar of balance is a complete transformation.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
The mage's spell bars for a unique one that has abilities that can be used to freely support, damage, and area deny to suit the current situation. When any avatar effect ends, the mage is exhausted and cannot benefit from Arcane Empowerment again for 30 seconds. Now, I know I went a bit off the rails there because I don't actually think the augments are going to change gameplay as much as this, but it's fun to speculate, and what I discussed isn't entirely unfair.
Yeah, like you said, that's all speculation. He doesn't know if that's how it would actually work. However, it is a very fun idea. That's for sure.
It's just a lot of work when it comes to actual
Absolutely.
labor on the devs' part and balance
Absolutely.
later in development.
And that's the bigger issue. Is it's so much work. That's a hurdle. But the issue is the actual impact on gameplay, right? The way players choose to interact with it and utilize it within the overall system. That is going to make balancing this game such a huge pain in the ass. There is never going to be balance in this game. And people who want balance, find a different game.
Overall, I just think it's fun to speculate because, let's be honest, I ran out of content about 2 years ago and I have no idea how this channel is still alive. In fact, it's bloody thriving, so you guys probably need to touch grass instead of watching content for a game that quite literally doesn't exist. But as usual, I am just one nerd for a good MMO, and my speculation means absolutely fuck all without yours in the comments below. As always, I want to thank my patrons. Without your support, this balding, middle-aged man wouldn't be able to live his dream of talking shit on the internet. If you made it to the end of the video, surely it's worth giving a like, and if you haven't already, why not go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, because you're high on copium.
So yeah, there we go. That was a fun video. Oh no, Diablo 4 is doomed. I don't know if that's accurate. Ah, yes, it's done. Is it done? God damn it. Oh, for asshole fuck stick sakety sakes. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, because I need to go to the bathroom anyway. And when I come back, I hope this fucking game is done downloading this patch, because it didn't show me this patch earlier when I pulled this up at all. That or I'm just blind as a bat and didn't see it in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, hopefully this is... Holy shit, why did it just go up to an hour? Did you all just watch that time remaining just double on us? Oh, baby Jesus. But anyway, I'll be right back.